What
Deep
happens
breath
when a
in for
broken
me.
19-year-old
Okay.
boy
Good,
walks
now
into a
exhale
hospital
slowly.
and
Am
meets
I
a woman
okay?
twice
You're
his
just
age who
fine.
changes his life forever? This isn't just a story about love, it's about obsession, healing, betrayal, and a secret that could destroy them both. Stay till the end, because the final twist will leave you speechless, and if stories like this keep you hooked, make sure you hit subscribe right now, because the next story might just be even darker. It was a cold evening when Arav, a 19-year-old boy with tired eyes and a past he never spoke about, walked into the hospital after collapsing on the roadside, his body weak not just from illness but from years of emotional neglect, and that was the moment his life collided with Dr. Meera Sharma, a 40-year-old physician known not only for her brilliance but also for the emotional walls she had built around herself after a painful divorce that had left her believing love was nothing more than a temporary illusion. Yet something about Arav was different from the very first moment she saw him lying unconscious on the stretcher, fragile yet strangely peaceful, as if he had already accepted a life without warmth. And when he woke up hours later under the sterile white lights of the hospital room, their eyes met for the first time, and neither of them realized that this quiet moment would spiral into something neither society nor morality would easily accept, because Arav was not just a patient looking for treatment, he was someone desperately searching for connection, someone who had grown up without affection, abandoned emotionally even when surrounded by people, and Dr. Meera, despite her years of experience, found herself unusually invested in his recovery, checking on him more often than necessary, asking questions that went beyond medical concern, slowly breaking her own rules without realizing it, and Arav, noticing her attention, began to feel something he had never felt before, a sense of being seen, of mattering to someone, and as days turned into weeks, their conversations grew longer, deeper, moving from simple health updates to discussions about life, pain, loneliness, and regrets, and Meera found herself opening up about her failed marriage, about how she had once believed in forever until it was shattered by betrayal, while Arav listened not as a boy but as someone who understood pain far beyond his years, and that emotional intimacy became the foundation of something far more dangerous than either of them intended, because one night, during a power outage in the hospital when everything went silent except the sound of distant thunder, Arav confessed that he didn't want to leave the hospital, not because he was sick, but because it was the first place where he didn't feel invisible, and Meera, standing in the dim emergency lights, felt her heart tremble in a way she hadn't experienced in years, and that was the moment boundaries blurred, not physically at first but emotionally, which is always where the real danger begins, and after Arav was discharged, he continued to find reasons to visit, sometimes for minor checkups, sometimes just to sit in the waiting area hoping to catch a glimpse of her, and Meera, despite knowing this was wrong, never stopped him, because deep down she needed him just as much as he needed her, and their bond intensified until one evening Arav showed up injured after getting into a fight, and when Meera treated his wounds, the closeness between them became undeniable, the silence heavy with unspoken emotions, and that night changed everything because for the first time, Meera allowed herself to cross the line she had drawn so carefully, not out of weakness but out of a desperate need to feel alive again, and Arav, overwhelmed by emotions he couldn't fully understand, surrendered completely to the connection, believing it was love, real and pure, while Meera convinced herself it was just a moment of vulnerability, something that wouldn't define her. But of course, moments like that never remain isolated, they grow, they evolve, they demand consequences, and soon their relationship turned into a secret neither of them could escape, meeting in hidden places, exchanging messages filled with emotions they couldn't express in public, building a world that existed only for the two of them. But secrets have a way of unraveling, and the first crack appeared when a colleague of Meera noticed her unusual behavior, the late hours, the distracted mind, the subtle smiles she tried to hide, and suspicion slowly turned into quiet investigation, while Arav, on the other hand, became increasingly dependent on her presence, his entire world revolving around her, his happiness tied to her attention, which created an imbalance that neither of them acknowledged. And then came the turning point, when Arav discovered something that shattered his perception of their relationship. He found out that Meera had been offered a prestigious position in another city and had already accepted it without telling him. And in that moment, everything he believed in collapsed, because for him, this was forever, but for her, it was something she could leave behind. And when he confronted her, the argument that followed was intense, raw, filled with accusations and truths they had both been avoiding. Mira insisted that their relationship was never meant to last, that it was a mistake born out of loneliness, while Arav refused to accept that, claiming that what they had was real, that it meant something, and in the heat of the moment, Mira said the one thing she could never take back, that he was just a phase in her life, and those words broke Arav completely, turning his love into something darker, something obsessive, and as Mira prepared to leave the city, trying to convince herself that she was doing the right thing, Arav spiraled into a state of emotional chaos, unable to let go, unable to move on, and the final twist unfolds on the day of her departure, when Mira receives an urgent call from the hospital, informing her that Arav has been admitted in critical condition after a severe accident, and when she rushes to see him, the sight of him lying unconscious once again brings everything full circle, but this time it's different, because now she understands the depth of what she is about to lose, and as she sits beside him, holding his hand, she realizes that what she had dismissed as a mistake was actually the one real connection she had left in her life, and when Arav finally regains consciousness, the silence between them speaks louder than any words, because both of them have changed, both of them have been broken in ways they can't fully repair, and the story ends not with a perfect reunion but with a haunting question left unanswered, whether love that begins in the wrong way can ever find the right ending, or whether some connections are destined to remain incomplete, leaving behind memories that refuse to fade. And as Mira stands at the crossroads of her career and her emotions, she is forced to choose between the life she planned and the love she never expected, while Arav, no longer the fragile boy she once knew, must decide whether to hold on or finally let go, and that is where the story leaves you, not with closure but with a lingering feeling that some stories are not meant to be resolved, only remembered.